And now we welcome onto the Mitchell Phelke Lacrosse Show, Kyle Hartzell and Scott Ratliff. Clap it up. The first former players that now have a podcast on this thing. Two guys that played in the PLL now have a podcast. Over the head, Rat or Kyle. How did this whole thing start?
I think, Scott, we talked about this in Hawaii. We were just kind of sitting on the beaches of Waikiki last year and kind of like brought it up, hey, we should do a podcast. Then literally as soon as we got back, I think January, we started and kicked off the college season and kind of just got things rolling from there. Scott, do you remember that differently?
How many beers deep were we?
Mai Tais, probably quite a bit.
I think the conversation was that we were talking about it and we were like, there's a real hole in the market here. No podcasters are putting out any good lacrosse content. So
Couple jabs. Hey, let's not forget we got Dukes on here. He's got 2 lacrosse podcasts.
2 top 100 lacrosse podcasts.
Yeah. Just trying to get on as many as possible. If you guys want a co-host that didn't play professional lacrosse, I'm right here too. I'll hop on 3.
Yeah. But also,
go
ahead, Scott.
We were really organic though. Like we are like probably not that different than you guys. We have a group text and we're watching games, college, pro, whatever, and we're texting all the time and we have opinions. And I think we're both retired and wanted a way to stay close to the game and figured let's just start having these conversations with microphones instead of over text.
Yeah. I love that. That's what it's all about. Obviously, 2 deep holes, 2 guys that have done it at the highest level, all-stars, the whole bit. Who would win in a Braveheart between you two?
Probably Scott. Scott would win that one. Yeah, we'll give that to Scott.
Did Rat just say himself off the bat?
Yeah, he did.
I knew he was going to say himself, so I just said his name too. So we're not getting into a long debate.
Yeah, debate over text. We'll come back to the show on it. But Kyle, you started your pro career first in 2008. Scott, you were a couple years after in 2013. I want to hear your biggest, and Kyle, we can start with you, your biggest MLL horror story. It could be traveling. We've heard from Jules that there wasn't even post-game food. It could have been, potentially an after-game party story with the guys at the bar. What's your biggest horror story of just how the MLL was?
I think, before we went to the PLL, the biggest thing, I think you guys all remember this one, the Ryan Flanagan tweet of the tent in Florida. So I think that had to be the most brutal MLL moment, but also like if I had to describe the MLL, it would be that tent situation. Like we get to the field, we're at FAU, which is a beautiful facility. No locker rooms. I don't know if like Lane Kiffin was there. He wasn't like letting us use the locker rooms. I don't know what that was, but it was literally a tent. It was so damn hot out. They had porta potties to the outside. They had like fold up chairs that weren't even folded for us, and it was just like guys were just like losing their minds. No showers. It was a complete and absolute mess. So that would have to be my horror story that I remember. But you guys can fire up that Ryan Flanagan tweet. He got fined for that, which is pretty much like welcome to the league and put him on blast. But I'd say FAU tent gate was one for me for sure. For sure.
I like that. Scott, what about you?
What's the rating on this show? Is this for kids? Is this rated PG-13?
All ages.
All ages.
It just depends, like what story I tell. So the first one that came to mind, the last year of the MLL, when Paul was getting and Mike were getting all of us under NDAs. Like the PLL was a thing, but we're still playing our season. I think the league had started to get kind of heard the rumblings of what was happening. The All-Star game was in Boston, and they did MLL All-Stars against Team USA because that was a World Games year. So Kyle was on Team USA, so he didn't get to experience this. But with the MLL All-Stars, it was basically like they had a new commissioner at the time, and it was kind of like their chance to make a pitch, in a lot of ways to the future of the league. And I think, again, that we weren't openly talking about it, but they had an idea that the PLL was coming and whatever. And we had just gotten off, and you guys obviously know Paul and Mike, and you can imagine what their pitch deck looked like, proper private equity pitch deck with like a real vision and like good, graphics and all that kind of stuff. And the MLL brought us all into this room, and basically the commissioner at the time was a guy named Sandy Brown. When I'm telling you, you guys might honestly be too young, but do you remember in like elementary school or middle school when teachers would do math on the thing that was like a projector where it was like a
Yes.
light and they would put like a blank piece of paper on top of it and like draw with marker. It was like something like that. And he like wrote like build stadiums in each city on like on that. And it was just like there was just no, so guys started ripping off questions. I remember specifically Kevin Rice got like is a lawyer now and he got into every law school in the country. Dude's very smart. Just starts grilling him. Like, so if you're gonna, if we're gonna build stadiums in every market, like how much of the revenue is going to that versus the players, like just starts asking all these questions and like they just had he didn't have a single answer for anybody. And it was just a really ugly scene. And we go out and play the game. The MLL All-Stars win. We go to they have like a party for us that night. And I just remember the commissioner was, let's just say like he was drinking away his sorrows that night. Like you could just feel like he was like the drunkest girl in the room, basically, was what it was. And you could just feel like he knew that, like, fuck, like I screwed this up and we don't have any plan and all these players are leaving. So there were obviously so many stories, but like horror stories of like the end of it, that one really like that was a tough night for the league. It comes to mind.
Obviously, it came to an end for you guys. Obviously, hearing rumbles from Paul and Mike, did you know like that was your last year in the league in the MLL?
Yeah, for me, it was an easy decision. I was behind the scenes with them when they were doing all that, so obviously that decision was easy for me, but Scott might have been in the same boat, but there were some young guys, like, they just didn't know, right? They were like, what the hell, I'm playing Major League Lacrosse, and my coach GM's telling me I'm not going to be able to play over there. It's going to be a shit show. So some guys stayed, some guys went, wavered. I would say the more senior guys knew what the MLL was because we had experienced it for 6-8 years. We knew what it was, so it was an easy decision for us for sure.
Yeah, and I was in the same boat. I was in early on and knew the thing that was interesting was every team had a different owner, and so everybody's experience was different. Like the owner of the Blaze, the prior 2 years were a complete shit show. The last year we had good funding and like it was a pretty good experience, and he was throwing a lot of money at guys comparatively. So, he was calling in star players. And again, he kind of started at the top of the roster and worked his way down saying like, I'll give you $100,000 to stay. And I think for the veterans, it was like, okay, well, what's going to happen? You're going to give me $100,000 for 1 year. What's going to happen the year after that? Or what are you going to give to the rest of my teammates? Like you had the big picture, not to just be like tempted by, a rich owner basically trying to pay his way into one more year. At that point, we were looking for like vision, like long-term opportunity. But I think that made it hard for some younger guys who didn't, to Hartzell's point, didn't have the full experience, and now they have like owners throwing money at them, and there was like guilt tripping from coaches and going on. So it was tricky. But I'm with Hartzell. Like we had been in it long enough, and I think we're kind of part of the earliest group to commit to it.
It's honestly crazy to think you guys obviously played in both leagues. It's talking to anybody, it's totally two different leagues, right? The MLL versus the PLL. But Kyle, for you played 176 games. That's fourth all time. Scott, you were 122. The longest consecutive track of games out of anyone in pro lacrosse. So kudos to you. Obviously, you two are lax rats. Who's the biggest lax rat?
I think Scott probably knows more than me, maybe on the pro game, college game. I don't know how to define that term lax rat. I don't know what that means, but I would say Scott probably knows a little bit more than me. Playing Division I when I was at Salisbury, pro lacrosse wasn't really on my radar until my senior year, so maybe Scott's the biggest lax rat. I don't know. His last name is
by definition.
Name is Rat
I
on the
am
screen.
Rat. Yeah, that's a good point. You know what's interesting though, Mitch? I don't know that I would like describe either of us that way. Like I grew up in Georgia,
Yep.
So I had never heard of the term lax bro until I got to Loyola.
Yeah.
Like, truly, I remember like at orientation somebody said that to me, and I was like, well, I guess what does that mean? Like, and Hartzell obviously a little bit of a different path as well. So we both love the game. I don't know that I would say I know more. I mean, we both have been around it a lot and love it a lot. But I don't identify that way personally. Like I love all sports, and this just happened to be the one that I was the best at.
Scott's on his way to be a pro tennis player right now. So
Yeah,
he's not a lax rat.
He's not a lax rat. He doesn't have time to be a lax rat.
I like tennis.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't tall enough to be a hoop head, so this is where you land.
Definitely. Kyle, for you, I think your background's so untraditional going to Salisbury. and then making it pro. That obviously we don't see that too much. For you coming out of Salisbury, when did you really realize you had that opportunity?
So the national championship game at Ravens Stadium, we were playing Cortland. We had lost to them the previous year. I was guarding the attackman of the year, Ryan Heath, and shut him down 0 points. And then I got a call from Doug Locker, who was the GM of the San Francisco Dragons. I don't even know if you guys remember the San Francisco Dragons. I mean, that was
All know of the week. Yeah.
OG. I still have my rookie jersey framed, but he gave me a call. He was like, "Hey, like, we want you to like try out." They had like ML had like a combine that year. It was a complete shit show in itself, but like went to the combine, and I was like last pick in the supplemental draft, and then I played like short stick D midi my first year because like Steve Panarelli was a starting LSM, Aiden Howley, like a legend at Maryland, he was a starting defenseman, Steve Holmes, UVA legend, and then Eric Martin, who was at Salisbury. I wasn't there when Eric was there, but they just kind of like asked me to come out and try out. I was playing short stick D midi, and then kind of, I was the last guy in the supplemental draft to get picked up. I wasn't expecting to stay, but kind of worked out for me and played for 16 years. So,
Kyle, is it
crazy.
true? Is it true that you walked on at Salisbury?
I did. Walked on to Salisbury, yep.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Wow. I know we chatted about this, potentially even in the documentary when I filmed Salisbury or even off air, but the fact that if you played on a Salisbury team from, I think it was 1984 until now, and you played all the years you could, if it was 4 or 5, counting COVID, you won a national championship.
Yeah.
Give Berkman the flowers he deserves right now.
Yeah, he's one of the, I think, greatest coaches of all time. I got to see him for the first time in like 8 years at Lynchburg, and he was talking about the transfer portal. These guys are leaving. That whole dynamic, hearing him talk about it, because he's like, he hates it.
Old school.
But he's going to go down in Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest ever, greatest of all time. I don't know, what's he, 11, 13 national championships at this point. Like, you can't say enough about the guy. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time.
100%.
Hard to believe the School of the Blind wasn't able to take him down one of those years.
Nestle just punched his screen.
Scott, we're talking untraditional paths. You say you're from Georgia. What do you think about like the pipeline that's being created from Georgia to D1? Like there was like 4 guys on Army this year from Georgia.
Yeah, the Plunkett brothers, both on Army. You're right. Sean Byrne, their starting goalie. So Justin Ward was Army's offense coordinator, was a teammate of mine at Loyola. So I have nothing to do with that, but I indirectly like to take credit for it. But the truth is, like, it's, when I was in high school down here, there were 30, which was what I graduated high school in 2009. There were like 30 sanctioned high school teams. The same 2 or 3 played in the state championship every year. It was an afterthought. My friends in high school probably never saw me play a game. Like, it was just kind of it wasn't a club sport, but it was looked at like that. There were people who really didn't know what it was. And forget now, even just by the time I moved home in 2015 and started coaching full time, there were 80, 90 high schools. There were kids, Nate Solomon's a name, who was kind of one of the next ones who went and played at Syracuse. Like, there were kids committing to play at the highest level. And it's gotten to the point where, I mean, the club team, the best club team down here, can compete with any of them. The whole team's going to play at top Division I, Division III schools. And I notice it even just like it's goals in yards. It's like bumper stickers on cars. I mean, sports down here, it's such a huge part of the culture. And you're going to have a hard time passing whatever, football, baseball, basketball, and total popularity. But because of the nature of the lacrosse team, it's the second biggest sport at most schools in terms of numbers, behind football, right? And a lot of guys in my generation who, went and played Division I AA football or Division II football are now the guys who are choosing lacrosse, right? Like, if you're going to go play at UGA, you're probably still sticking with that. But you're starting to see like that second tier of athletes from that sport. Obviously, it being fall and spring is really good. So it's not surprising. And like guys like Liam Banks, John Zoberti, like there were guys who moved down. Lou Corsetti's a guy who's been down here forever, ran the first youth league I played in. Just like any other, non-traditional market, like people have moved here. They've started good youth programs. You get good coaching. And then it's just kind of a matter of time. There's good athletes down here. So it's no surprise to see them doing so well, and so many of them. You can't turn on a college game without a kid from Atlanta, in a major role on one of the teams, which I take a lot of pride in. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I
even
love
that. What was that? That Notre Dame Maryland game this year was in Georgia.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Ursa, Fisher, Finley. Yeah, you can go on and on every year. Pipeline, hotbed.
I love that. I would say for you guys' podcast, this is cool because it's a question we always ask a pro or a college guy when they come on here if they would take that role. Who, in your guys' opinion, and Rat, you can name one guy, and Kyle, you can name one guy that you want to see not start a podcast together, but have their own potentially after they're done playing?
Ooh, Rat, you want to go first?
Yeah, the first guy, so he is done playing, but the first guy I thought of, and we need to get him on, he would do great on your guys' show as well, is Dominique Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, if you guys
Buckeye,
remember.
Buckeye,
like,
baby.
he
He's a
was just
Buckeye.
so-
Let's go.
He was so good on Mic'd Up. He's just a charismatic dude who's just so fun-loving and so he's a guy I think would be awesome as a guest or just like having his own, having his own show. He's an entertaining listen.
I think a good personality would be Matt Gibson. He would be super confrontational. He'd be hilarious. And he's just, if you ever met Matt, Scott knows him well too, but he would be an interesting dynamic running his own podcast or doing that. So I'd say Matt Gibson would be one for me.
100%. Obviously, we just wrapped up this past week. Obviously, playoffs now heading into the PLL. Kyle, with your connection, with the Cannons, what do you think the biggest aspect kind of went wrong with that squad this year?
Yeah, I've been kind of talking. Me and Scott have been talking about that back and forth. The biggest thing for me, man, they just look disconnected as a group. That defense, like when they played the Water Dogs last week, they came out, they won. Their defense played great. Owen Grant cursed. They get the hit on Mike Sowers, and Owen Grant hits Taylor. And it's like, oh, this is the defense that's been missing all year. And then they come back this last weekend. And it was just obviously a huge disappointment. They go 0-2, lose that Redwoods game, and then ultimately get the shit beat out of them on Sunday, which was just brutal. But they just look disconnected as a group. Obviously, I'm not in the locker room, but like. I don't know what the disconnect was, but they didn't look on the same page as a defense this year, and it was just kind of all over the place. And then Kirst, who was great last year, he kind of was dipping in save percentage, right? He was like 30, 40. And then last week I think he posted a 70% save percentage, and then back this week it was 30%. And it was not a good year for them. It's going to be interesting to see who stays. I'm hearing rumors of some guys retiring, but I think that team's going to look different next year. On the back end, they're probably going to get a couple more polls because I hear some guys are retiring. But it just, for me, the biggest thing, if I had to name one thing, I would just say they just look disconnected on the back end. From a communication standpoint, not playing picks the right way. They were just not connected as a group. That's kind of like what I saw.
Do you kind of?
You guys know a
Sorry, go ahead.
theory on that? Sorry, Kev. The Hartzell was the D coordinator the year before, so it is indirectly they were missing Hartsey this year, right? But they hired two assistant coaches who both came from college, and it is what it is. They struggled on defense. Coach O'Darna's at Syracuse. Obviously he's a great coach, but look at the other staffs that turned over. On the Chaos, you have McCready's and Sweeney. Both were pros, and then club coaches until they coached. And then look at the Redwoods. Train hires Bachlet, pro guy. And I think there might be something to that. Coming in, coaching a college defense with the amount of scouting, the amount of time you have, and the sophistication of the scheming and the game plans. What it looked like to me was, even in that last Whips game, that Whips defense just slide, recover, same page, clearly can understand. You can see what the plan is and you can see them executing it. You didn't see that all season from the Cannons. And I wondered if maybe there was just a little bit of a learning curve of if they started overcomplicating and then simplified and it was kind of too late and now we haven't had the same game plan once in 2 weeks. So I don't know. That was just one thing I noticed it was different. That was you got these college coordinators versus guys who have been around the pro game and understand what it's like to game plan with one practice a week and, a lot less kind of sophistication in the scheming.
Yeah, and
That's
then one
a great point.
Yeah, and one guy last year, Jim Mitchell, the Princeton OC, and I don't know how the college coaches ran it this year. I'm obviously not getting scouting reports and stuff, but he kind of he didn't change what he did at Princeton, but he understood the dynamic of guys are okay, some guys are working 9-to-5 jobs. We can't overload them with stuff. He was very simplistic in what he did, and I think that's a huge benefit because a lot of these guys some of these guys work on Wall Street. They work all day. They can't watch film as much as some other guys. So you got to kind of like simplify it and keep it just simple. And I think Coach Mitchell did a great job of that last year as the OC.
Rack, going off what you said about just pros becoming coordinators, if you had to hire the defensive coordinator, like say O'Derner just stepped down at the end of the year, he's like, hey, I'm just staying in the college game. Who's a former player or former pro that you think would be a great coordinator in the league?
Adam Gittleman.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's on that team as the backup goalie, and I don't know if he'll come back and play another year or not. But, like, I was like, while Kyle was talking, I'm laughing. I'm like, Gitz used to say, put a short stick on whoever worked a trilogy camp that week. Like, it's like, because that guy was, like, working from, was coaching in the sun all day. Like, and, like, we laugh, but there's some genius to it. And the best pro coordinator I ever played for was Coach Resch.
Yeah.
And he, like, if you ask me, like, what did Coach Resch do? He's like, it was not scheming in game plans. Like, he would tell me when I didn't sprint after a play, or when I pulled up, running 10 yards before the box, or, when we're just not like over our toes a little more. Like, it was just really subtle, like non-negotiables that he would hold the defense accountable to. It wasn't, he was kind of open to communication around, do we double pull or do we do different things? And like every team can find their own identity, but it was very simple. It was play hard, communicate, do your preparation, turn in your film homework. Like it was, he treated us like his high school English class kind of. And that was very effective. Like at the pro level, sometimes that's what you need. Get your stick out on an approach, like reminder of the fundamentals that got you there that you can kind of lose. Yeah, Adam Gittleman would be to me, I mean, I almost would have made the case to just give him that job last year and just, he's a backup goalie, just make him a player coach because he really understands.
Little Jackie Moon.
Jackie Moon, yeah.
No doubt.
Player coach podcaster, maybe.
Yeah. Doing the whole thing. Obviously, with how the Archers season turned out, they're going to get the number 1 pick next year. Paul Carcaterra's big board has Joey Spallina going 1. Do you guys agree with that? Or who do you think's going number 1 next year?
Man, that's a good question. I'm actually, don't know the full like draft list of what Kark's saying, but Joey Spallina, obviously you see what he's doing in the indoor game too. I think he is going to be a top draft pick. I don't know if he'll be 1. I'd say he might be top 5, but yeah. So there's a draft board right there.
You guys obviously haven't listened to our college lacrosse episodes because we don't know anything about college lacrosse. I saw that question come through. I was like, I don't know who is available. Like, I have no clue.
College for us this year was like we were just rolling it out and just getting used to each other. But yeah, I think Joey Spallina is going to be a great player in this league, and obviously it'd be crazy come full circle. I remember that kid when I played for the Lizards, all the little Spallina boys in the locker room playing wall ball out in the field, throwing behind the backs. Like it's crazy seeing how far they've come and. Knew they would get here one day, but it would be insane if he somehow Spallina just finagled some way to get him on a roster to coach his son. But yeah, I think he's going in the top 3. I think this draft class is probably a little bit better than last year, so it'll be interesting to see where he falls.
Chris, I've never heard of any of these dudes. Who's
Bobby Van
The
Buren?
Archers need to play, but the Archers need to go offense, right?
Yeah.
Like they got to go offense. So it's probably one of these guys you're seeing, but like Aiden McGuire is a D maybe if I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid Richmond is kind of fun over on the left side. Like I don't know, it wouldn't shock me if it was Joey based on this, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Kyle,
there's a real
for you,
obvious
obviously
choice.
a guy that played for Joe Spallina. Is there any world where Joey doesn't end up on Joe's team?
Dude, he's made some crazy trades in the Lizards days. Some probably illegal in some regards. But the whole like Dave, I don't know if you guys remember, like he traded. It was like Dave Lawson. What's the Chris LaPierre, and who else? Might have been one more guy for like Will Manny, Joe Lacasio,
Dude.
and like they traded him to the Cannons, and then. The Cannons coach at the time, Quirk, did not like check if the guys that he was getting traded were playing, and then the trade went through, and he's like, "Dude, what the fuck? Like these guys aren't playing." And he's like, "Should have checked that shit," and you didn't. So then we get like Will Manny, Joel Acasio, but like, yeah, I don't know. There could be. I'm not counting that out at all. He's probably positioning himself, like the Cleveland Browns are positioning himself to pick up Arch Manning. It's like it's not out of the question for sure.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw this last
think-
week, but I made a little video that there was some
Yeah, this is
rumors
great.
that Coach
Yeah,
Joe
I saw your
Serena-
video, yeah.
Yeah, Team 91 had him up in
And you-
class.
Is that
And you-
is that a
Is that
Trader
true?
Joe
Do we have
move?
any confirmation on that?
I mean, I don't know if it's confirmed because like he can speak for himself. I won't speak on that, but like let's just say there was a roster, a roster picture out there, and they were on the roster right next to Joe.
That's interesting.
It's a good move.
I could see the Archers taking him.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of high IQ guys on that team. On that list, I don't see a name that. I mean, obviously they have to play their summer, spring, but I don't see a name that is a better lacrosse player than him. And you stick him on a team where he doesn't have to be the primary Dodger. That would be your concern with him. Is like, can he beat a number one defenseman as a Dodger at the pro level? You stick him with Sam King and hopefully Tom and Grant and Fields healthy. Like that to me, he's the most obvious pick of that crew.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Scott, do you think, as a former Archer, do you feel like they need to make big changes, or was it just like bad luck with injuries for them this year?
No, I didn't think it was bad luck. I mean, their injuries came; they were already kind of awful by the time like Grant and Tom went down. They were the worst offense in the league, and they were in last place. So maybe they salvage it, right? But you just got to get younger. You got to get younger in this league always. And I think they talk about the Cannons, like it's another mistake they made. Like you got to have the Belichick like sell right after like guys have their best years. And we've talked, Hartsey and I have talked about it, but I think in any pro sport you got to get younger. But in a pro sport that's not necessarily a full-time living, it's even more important. Like you can't wait. And I don't blame Bates for waiting, because when you win back-to-back, you're not going to change anything. Like you can't preemptively start changing roster spots. You got to see how far these guys can take it. But I think they clearly they've gotten younger on defense and kind of evolved that side of the field. They got to do the same on offense now. Like you got to figure out who are the horses we're keeping, and you probably got to move on from some others.
Obviously, the shelf life. When you guys were in the MLL was so much longer. PLL, guys, the changeover is so much quicker now. For both of you guys, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give these rookies coming in?
The biggest piece of advice, Scott will probably say the same thing, is make it full-time if you can. If you can make it full-time, you can extend your career, as long as you want. Because if you're constantly in the gym and taking care of your body and treating yourself like a pro athlete, longevity is going to be there for you. But it's not easy, right? You gotta figure out how you're going to make money, camps, clinics, full-time coaching gigs. You just got to figure it out. But my advice would be try to do it full-time if you can, because man, Scott can attest to this. He worked, he was in New York, and he was a guy that did that. But it's not easy working a job and trying to stay in shape to play lacrosse full time. So that would be my advice, is to try to do it full time.
I would say for both of you guys, who's been the biggest rookie that sparked your eyes in this draft class this past year?
Oh man, I would say
Hartzell.
Go ahead.
You love McNaney. That's your guy.
Joe Walters.
Right? I mean,
Joe Walters,
in that.
yeah.
McNaney lights out. Oh man, I would say, Chris Cavanaugh. I think I knew he was going to be good coming in the league, man. But dude, he's definitely going to probably win Rookie of the Year. I think if Owen Hiltz would have played in the first 3 games, I think maybe he'd be up there with him in points. But Owen Hiltz and him, in my opinion, I think Chris Cavanaugh is having one of the best years out of any rookie's ever had. And then Aiden Carroll, I think, broke TJ Malone's points thing, whips points in a season.
Yeah.
So there's so many good ones, but yeah, I would pick Chris Cavanaugh. He's just been lights out this year, just taking matchups, shooting 2-pointers, like he's doing it all for him. And that Redwoods team, they're young, and Anthony Kelly's done a phenomenal job with them.
I got a question for you guys off that one. Imagine you're making a defensive game plan for that Redwoods team. Who's drawing the number 1 poll, Malloy or Cavanaugh?
Got that, Rat?
Yeah, I think it depends on body type. So some teams there's just a clear number 1, but there's other times, like I would give you an example, like the Atlas. Like who's the number 1 poll in the Atlas?
Let's use the Chaos as an example, since they're playing in the first round of the.
Yeah, well, so with the and this is a big part of why the Chaos defense is so good. Newman guards the big boy, Rowlett guards Cav. Like it's obvious with that.
Got you.
So same thing, like you'll put Rowlett on Pat Cav and you'll put Newman on Brennan O'Neill. It's not about Newman's better and O'Neill's better. It's Newman's big and O'Neill's big, and Rowlett's quicker with his feet, more of a push out type of player, kind of on ball, off ball. So like, I think it's matchup dependent. I would just, a stock answer is, to me, Cavs draws the number one guy. And like you can get away with, as long as you have a big body on Malloy, you try to tie him up and slide to him or whatever. But Cav to me is the engine that's making them go right now, and more of the emotional spark too. Like if you have to choose between them, one of them gets to score 5 and one of them gets to score none, and which is going to be a bigger emotional lift to the team, I would argue better to have Chris Cav score 0 and not get his like fire and energy going, and let like big lumbering Dylan score a few. He doesn't have the same like it's not he just doesn't have the same like hype ability, kind of leadership, like je ne sais quoi that Chris seems to have.
Yeah.
But the game's probably going to come down to how many one-handed goals can Ryder Garnsey score anyway. So
Yeah, he's doing some ridiculous stuff on the field for sure.
I don't like those matchups for the Redwoods though, if I'm being honest with you. Like I think the Chaos defense matches up with them very well.
yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. I was watching a clip from your podcast where you were talking about the Chaos defense. We didn't mention Troy Ray in those, but I know he's an awesome off-ball defenseman. They kind of have that like same core, including Blaze, from like their beginning years. Like, do you think that's an X factor that can kind of help the Chaos go the distance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
No doubt.
Yeah, for sure. They're with Blaze rearing in between the pipes. I mean, you see what they do year after year. It's like on paper every year, I think people just count them out like we did as well. Like you see their offense on paper, you're like, dude, these guys might not win a game this year. And then it's just like they get a win, they get another win, they get another win. It's like, fuck. But Blaze and that defense are what's going to take them to the championship run. And Blaze, he's been averaging 16 saves a game. I think he dipped a little bit this past weekend, but you can expect him in the playoffs to play his best lacrosse. And that defense is the engine that drives that entire thing. And obviously Blaze Reardon, he frustrates the shit out of shooters and offenses. And like, they've kind of had slow starts in the first half, and then second half he shows up, and they're just battle tested. So like they can be down by 5 and still win games because they have Blaze Reardon between the pipes. So for me, it's going to be that defensive unit for sure. They've been together forever. They're probably one of the best on paper. So yeah, that's Blaze Reardon. You cannot bet against that guy.
I love that. Hogue, you got one?
Yeah, I guess I would just say, like, the playoffs, I feel like in the PLL are so unpredictable. Just like the regular season, everyone said the Chaos was going to be the worst team. They finished 4th place in the Champ Series. What's one team that you think can make a run and win a championship that no one would probably say right now?
Oof. I mean, the California Redwoods, right? They not limped in, but like they were playing for their playoff lives this past weekend. So like they're a young, hungry group. The one thing that sticks out to me for them is their goalie play. Chase Ireland's kind of been all over the place. Because I do think in this league, if you look at the stats, like any goalie that's getting 60% or is hovering around that 60% number, you are in games to win. And you see goalies that when they have 30%, 34%, 40%, they're usually not winning that game. So I think the Redwoods, for me, would be that team that nobody's kind of like, they limped in. They're not going to do, they might not make a run, but for me, it's the California Redwoods for sure.
I have a question for you. Mitch kind of touched on it in the beginning of the episode where I have had multiple lacrosse podcasts. I'm not a pro lacrosse player, but I'm a pro podcaster or an amateur one. But I want to know, like, what's the hardest thing you've kind of had to adjust to with podcasting?
I think just talking on the screen with me and Rack getting our cadence down. Like that's why we did the college thing, because we didn't know shit about college going into it, but we were like, hey, we got to get into a groove here. But I think the hardest thing is just kind of getting a cadence with your crew. I mean, you guys, I don't know how you do it. You got 4 people on the screen, but you're obviously very organized and stuff. So like in the beginning, we weren't very organized. We're like, let's just roll it out and do it. And then we started doing outlines and like figuring it out. But I think the biggest thing is just if you're doing it, he did one by himself. I don't think I could do one by myself. I need someone to talk to.
Tough.
It looks like it's really tough, but me and Scott have done a great job. We've obviously good friends, and we're really good talking with one another. And I think just if you're going to do it with someone, just picking someone that you're going to be able to have conversation with, keep it fun, light, and I think we've done a good job of that. So.
You touched on it, I think, with the college game. One of the hardest things for me personally was in 2019, I was like a junior in college, and I was like, I'm going to do this whole sports media thing, and I was like, let me try watching the MLL. I told the story a couple times in this podcast. I literally couldn't watch it. So then the first time I started doing sports media was PLL, like the season. I knew kids in college that were playing, graduated the next year, and was like so connected to the college kids. Now I'm like so old or older. I'm like, I don't know any of these younger kids. We pull up the big board. I'm just knowing them from like following it. And that's why the pro game, I think, is so easy to follow because it's the same names for the most part, year in, year out. Same roster construction for the most part. That's why a big reason I love the PLL.
Yeah, the hardest, man, the hardest thing for me, even with the or the college game, it's like, dude, I can't follow it because it's on www.chuckitlacrosse.com. I got to buy a fucking subscription for $10. Next week it's on Flow Nation. I got to buy I was very vocal. Flow Nation or whatever the hell it was rolled out their stream. Flow Sports, whatever. Rolled out their stream for the Cornell Cuse game. And I paid for it. It was like, I don't know what, $10, whatever the hell it was. It was the worst stream I have ever experienced in my life.
Yes.
Like, it's raining. The camera looked like it was handheld. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I literally turned it off. I couldn't watch it. But college lacrosse needs to fix that out. It needs to be streamlined on one platform because you can't keep up with the game and you can't follow the game as closely. I think Ratliff could probably attest to that. It's like, the reason I don't know who people are in the college game because I can't watch it on a consistent basis. And when that, when Carcaterra and those ESPN guys get those college games, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's like the PLL pretty much. So they got to figure that out. Like, I know was with the Big Ten Network, they're doing something, but yeah, they need to figure out one because ESPN, it's the same with PLL, right? You're going to get the same thing every week. So there's a lot of inconsistency there. And like, I'm not paying $10 for 10 different streams every week. Like, it's just not going to happen. So
Big East just moved to ESPN. So slowly but surely, we're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there.
Great.
Mitch, that was like me and you when we watched the Hopkins-Towson game. There's a final possession, 10 seconds left. Hopkins up a goal. Right as Mikey Weissire starting his dodge with like 7 seconds left, just frozen. We're on the live stream trying to react to it, just freezes. Next thing we see is the Hopkins players getting their goalie. We're like, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, some guys walking behind the broadcast probably tripped over a wire and ripped it out of the computer.
Kyle or Rat, I'm curious, have you stepped in it yet with a take? Got some backlash yet from anybody?
Scott? Actually, we had, I think it was a Loyola dad. What the hell is the name of the long pole at Loyola? His dad DM'd us.
Bean.
That's
something Bean. I don't have any social media, guys. So I'm like
free,
I
you're
don't
good.
see any of it. Which
I get the
makes
hate.
it easier,
They
frankly.
DM me about
That's what I need.
Kyle gets all
That's
of
what
it.
I need. I
I've
need
never
to
even
just
heard that.
spit out these takes. Like, I can't say it to me.
No personal social.
Yeah.
That's
The
a
dad
bad
of-
play.
Yeah, the dad of the long stick mini that plays at Loyola, we had said something like he wasn't going to do good in the pros or something. And his dad was like, "What do you mean he's not going to do good in the pros?" And like, and then I was like, "Ratliff doesn't have social media, so good luck getting to him."
That feels like
I don't-
the meme. That feels like the meme of like the James Franco with like the noose around his neck. It's like first time.
Yeah.
Like, I still have Ohio State dads in my DMs.
Yeah. We haven't got much hate,
you know
though.
what's interesting is the players' parents like listen a lot and care, right? So you would hear from them. I do have to give credit to Kyle though, because like our podcast wouldn't exist if it weren't for him. Like he makes everything go behind the scenes and get stuff up on social. Because that was kind of my one thing was I was like, I know to be successful at this, we have to be online. But I just am not at a point in my life where I want to be, and I'm not willing to sacrifice. And I have found that it's very freeing to just say what I want to say. I mean, I still sometimes have it in the back of my head that like I'm talking about guys I have relationships with and players I'm friends with. Like it is hard. And you hear this from like guys in other sports that try to go into broadcasting. I think every year removed, it'll get easier. But when you know somebody personally, it can be hard to like criticize them or give an honest opinion. It helps a lot because I just tell myself, fuck it. No, probably nobody listens to us anyway. And I'm not going to see anybody's point of view about what I'm saying. And like, I think that has helped me early in my media career.
And Rat, in your defense, tough year for a former Loyola guy to start a podcast.
Yeah. I think that's what I said. I was like, nobody on the 1 in 10 teams getting drafted. And his dad's like, you might get drafted. Well, okay.
They all listen.
Scott called it out though. All freshmen, a lot of freshmen on that team. the Greyhounds could be
They'll be
hunting
back
next year.
They'll be
Stay
back.
tuned.
Scott,
Stay
you're like
tuned.
this. I have a bet with this kid, Matt Nessler. He played at Cabrini, so I don't think he's ever beaten Salisbury, right, Mitch? But anyways,
Probably not.
I have a bet with him that Loyola will make, I think it was or win a tournament game. This freshman class will win a tournament game by the time they graduate. $1,000.
That's a very safe bet. And they got Justin Ward from Army now as an
I love
assistant
that.
there.
I like him a lot.
And like, look at all the recruiting that they did. I mean, Jay Ward's the best. He's one of the best in the business. They're a safe bet to do that. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. They weren't very good, and they went on a run and beat Denver in the first round. I don't know. That was maybe
They should have made
3
the
or
Final
4
Four
years
that year
ago,
too.
so-
They should have beat Duke in that quarterfinal game.
That Denver
Yeah,
team was
they're-
stacked. We went through
They'll
it.
be
They
back.
had Kevin didn't believe me. That Denver team, I think, had 12 players that have played in a PLL game, or 13.
Yeah, TD, but 2 face-off guys. They had Jack Hanna. They had there's some D
J.J.
guys running
Silstrop
around
was
out
on
there.
there.
Ethan Walker.
Crazy.
Ted Sullivan, who probably was on a roster, but was one of those guys I don't think wanted to play.
Culture win. The Hounds. Toomey's good. They'll be fine.
Yeah, there we go.
Kyle, for you, obviously a lot of change in your job career in recent years. Obviously, coaching with the Canyons, you were with Texas. I was a big believer that you were going to be the coach to take Texas D1. Obviously, that's what guys on the outside talk about a ton. You're still on the board with Texas. You guys are still trying to figure out who the next coach is. Can you give us an insight of what realistically it's going to take for Texas to make that jump to Division I lacrosse?
Yeah, they need like $40 million essentially. They tried.
Okay.
They tried going to Del Conte. I don't know. It had to be like a couple years back, 8 years back before I was there, and they were like literally laughed out of the room. They were like, you need to raise the money, and it's got to be $40 million because the football team they just got. I think it just came out. They're the biggest money making school or program in all of sports, especially this year. Like they don't want to add another sport. They don't really care, and they're not going to go out of their way to do it. So we have like a board form there that's trying to do that. It is a long goal. It's going to take a long time because, but at the end of the day, money is the biggest thing. Like you need the money. It's $40 million. We know the price tag of it because they're in Title IX compliance. So women's and men's is going to have to go. Like 2 sports are going to have to go. So you essentially have to fund 2 sports. So money is the biggest thing. It's going to take, probably $40 million, the price tag we put on it. So
Give me a year. Just shoot it out there. Are we thinking 2030?
I would say 2037 sounds right.
That long?
Yeah, 2037.
There's
Because one
there's a lot
SEC
of-
school, one
There's
SEC
a lot
school
of
is going to
wealthy
do
dads
it.
down there. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
one-
wealthy dads down there.
Yeah, we need a
One
wealthy
SEC school's gonna
rich
do it.
oil money dad to come in and just give you $40 million from generational wealth and start it.
Yeah, once one SEC school goes, I mean, I think there maybe a couple will follow, but who knows? The football teams make so much money; they don't really care though. So
Yeah. Obviously, you're out in Park City now. You're not coaching PLL anymore. Will we see you back in the coaching realm in college or pros anytime soon, or is that totally off the table?
I think it's totally off the table at this point. I'm helping out here with the Summit boys, Adam and Will. They run a really good program out here, so they've hired me like player development. I'm out here coaching those guys, so it's awesome to see what they've done out here in Utah. There's so many freaking kids playing. I think they had over like 350 kids at tryouts last week. So
Wow.
it's awesome to see the sport growing out here. So I'm gonna be helping with that, and like, yeah, man, I don't think I'm cut out for like the Division One. Just like the stories I hear from the coaches and like I don't think I'm cut out for it. I could do it, but the time commitment and like the PLL, I have PTSD from traveling every weekend. I just don't think I can do the recruiting thing. I'm not traveling around in the summer and having doing all those recruiting terms. It's absolutely insane what those kids have to go through. So I'm out on that. So
Yeah, I feel that 100%.
Yeah.
Kev, Dukes, Hoagie, any last questions?
Yeah, I got one. I asked the players that we play with like what their welcome to the league moment is. I know that you guys are now podcasting. Do you have a welcome to the league moment, either podcasting or in the MLL PLL?
Ooh. My welcome to the league moment was guarding Mikey Powell coming out of Salisbury my rookie year. They were
That
like,
makes
hey, you're
sense.
gonna guard Mikey Powell. I'm like, yeah, are you sure about that? Like what? And then he scored like 6 goals. I completely turned me around at behind the goal. Like guarding him was like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna guard Mikey Powell. This is gonna be a complete nightmare. That was my welcome to the league moment.
Did they
for
at
sure.
least give you a long pole for that part? Or are we
I
still
had a
short
long,
stick? All right.
hell no, I had a long pole for that one. Wish I had like 2 long poles to get like 12 feet out there, but dude, he was absurd. It sucks he like got or ended his career so quickly, but man, guarding him was surreal because I knew who he was. Obviously, coming from Salisbury, but like seeing him on the field, like talk about he got like Michael Sauer speed, but just you can't compare him to anyone. He was just freaking unbelievable.
Powell's a good one. Any other MLL guys that like just kind of missed the boat on like the PLL opportunity of being like a full-time player that you wish like, man, it just was not the right time?
Oh man, I would say, I mean, the pals for sure. I wish more guys could have saw them with, the media with PLL now. Like, it's crazy the content that gets pushed out. Like, I wish like more people knew about like the pals, the Gates. It just sucks that like pro lacrosse wasn't there for them. It was at like the end of their careers. Like a guy like Jerry Byrne played on the Boston Cannons when he was like 38 years old, had like 2 kids. Like, but he played for 1 year. But like, yeah, some of those legendary names, like kids, when you ask them at camps, like, hey, you know who the pals are? They're like, I don't know who that is. It's like, God damn it, like, but they know who everyone is now because there's so much. Yeah, Chaz Woodson.
Yeah. I saw that picture they showed on the broadcast. Yeah, he would. On the broadcast of Jerry Byrne, like first year Cannon, no arm pads or anything. It was so legit.
Yeah, crazy.
Going off
So
that,
I've got. Dudes, I was going to tell you because you said playing and podcasting and Hartsel, you can't top the playing. I think this is the welcome to the league moment for the podcast. There's first, you're going to start the podcast. People are going to listen. Of course, Hartsel and I are like, well, fuck the Phelke Show. Like, fuck those guys. We'll come in here and we're gonna take this over. We're gonna start a podcast beef. Then all of a sudden you get the text like, "Hey, you want to go on?" And it's like, "Dang it, this probably would be really good. We should do this." And so that's the welcome to the league moment for podcasting.
Welcome to the lead.
Yeah.
When you brought up Chaz Woodson, though, I've been trying to like think of it. I love that NBA question, like, who's your favorite player's favorite player? Is there somebody that like is around the league where it's a player unknown that you guys had either in your MLL or PLL days that was your favorite player's favorite player? Like, was it Chaz Woodson?
Man,
for me it was Graham Hossack. Early day in the MLL, it's like, but people now know Haas.
Yeah.
But when he first started, like he was out of Lindenwood. He was not, people didn't know who he was, and he was. Obviously, he is a beast and is dominant. But the first probably like 5 years of his career, I felt like totally unknown. He wasn't there at the start of the PLL, so I felt like it took a long time for people to get on to him. But everybody that was in it and played, knew how good he's been for forever.
Who did Trevor say was the biggest hack that he has nightmares about? The defender, the pole.
Dukes knew the name. I forget.
He said it was his welcome to the MLL moment. He said this guy was the biggest hack of all time.
He played on the floor launch, I think.
Yeah. I think that's the kid who was.
Yeah.
He was one time. I walked out of the hotel. It must have been like 2 hours before going to play the launch, and he's just sitting outside smoking cigs before the game. Like he had like long hair, like sandals on. I'm like, who is this guy? So yeah, he was a beast.
For me, Eric Martin would be that. Eric Martin, if any highlights can be teed up with that guy, his early days, San Francisco Dragons, and then indoor, like he was probably one of the greatest defensemen of all time. Like I wish there was more people knew about him, could see him play because he was like one of the all-time greats, like and still is in my mind to this day. Another Salisbury guy, but he was just such a presence on the field, played like such a dick, and yeah, Eric Martin is another guy, favorite player's favorite player for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, boys?
I think that's it, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, thank
Kyle,
you guys.
Scott, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for hopping on, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it.